Yeah, excuse the beard. I've uh, I've been undercover for a while, and so undercover with some hobos, and I had to blend in. So yeah, that's why it looks like it does. Yeah, yeah. Pickups video. This this is actually Mark two of this video. Um, Originally, I've already had one go at this, and it was over an hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and 5 minutes long, and I basically sat there waffling away for an hour and 5 minutes, at least an hour and 5 minutes, and checked back the video afterwards, checked back the footage, and the sound was fucked. It was like I've had that in the past. I just hadn't. I think what it is, I hadn't put my attached my mic properly, just stuck it in the USB port properly, and it was just sort of little bit loose, and so the sound kept dropping. It was bloody awful. So in a way, I was sort of slightly relieved because it was such a long video, and hopefully this will be shorter because I've actually edited out some of the stuff. I've taken some out just so only a few, basically amounted to a few DVDs. So it'll probably a couple of minutes worth of footage at best. But you know, I tried. You know, oh, God, I feel fucked for some reason. I don't know. I feel really sleepy. It's just it feels like I've just got up. Do you ever have that? I've been up for hours, but I don't know. It's weird. I look like I've just gone to see myself on the little thing. God, vanity. Who invented that? What a wanker. But yeah, um, yeah. This I've got some. Oh shit! Hang on, wait there. I've forgotten something. Got it. Scissors. That's what I needed. Scissors. I've got a. Let me just hook my parcel. I had my parcel on a stool a bit further away, so I had to hook it with my leg to bring it closer, so I can reach down without having to get up and grab it. But that's going to be at the end. Yes, I've got a parcel, so I needed the scissors basically. Um, like an old school. You know, people don't really do anymore, do they? Or some do. Yeah, some do. You know, where you've got a parcel and you open it up for a bit of jeopardy. But yeah, um, up until this thing, because this parcel's good. I basically when I first made this video, I hadn't got that, and I've bought that since. And I thought when I remake it, I'll basically wait until it's turned up because it came from overseas, so it was a bit of a wait. So I thought I might as well wait, and it turned up this morning. So I thought I'm going to make the video now. You know, regardless of how fucked I feel and how much of an old tramp I look. Got my yellow hat on. Yeah, so before I got this parcel, the standard stuff was decent, but not quite as good as the last. I think, like I said, my last pickups videos all had a really, it was top notch stuff. I think anyway. You know, that's open to debate, but I felt, you know, it was a really worthwhile video to make. And this stuff now is decent, but not quite up to those standards. But then I think this parcel, let me make sure it's the right way around. Parcel elevates it slightly, so you got a bit of a clue because of the size of it. But yes, right, I can move those scissors out of the way. Right, I might have to take another break because my old cat. I've only got one cat now. Like a few years ago, I had three, but bit by bit they've all died off. They've got ancient. They're all ancient, and she's ancient, and she's got this habit of sitting in rooms on her own screaming. She screams. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of a screaming cat, but it's slightly distracting. Screaming cat's weird. I don't know what she's developed, but what she does is basically she meows a lot, but then every so often she'll put in a really really loud one on purpose. If no one pays her attention, she'll do a really loud meow, and it sounds like she's screaming. But she might do that because I've just basically locked that door just so I can't hear her. Um, she's got access to everywhere else, but I'm just trying to block her out just for the processes of this. She's got access to a tray. I'm not abusing the cat or anything. She's got access to a tray and food. So what am I talking about? This is a YouTube. This is a pickups video. But anyway, all right. Next door on holiday. It's I thought, what a better opportunity to make a video. I've got my parcel, and next time on holiday. So, right. Mostly games, but I've put in a few films just because I think some of them noteworthy. I've taken a lot out, but these ones. This first one's basically it was only £1 in a charity shop, and it's just a demonstration of talking about how rarely you actually find something in a charity shop that you've been looking for. And all the years I've been looking at buying stuff in charity shops, thinking back, it happens so rarely. But on this is one of the rare occasions that it actually happened. It's a Blu-ray of a film I've really enjoyed. Not a particularly well-known film, but I really like it, and I just wanted the Blu-ray. I've been looking at it in on Computer Exchange, and it's thinking of ordering one. I went to a branch where they had a copy or a few copies, and forgot that that's what I was there for, and then regretted it. And it's a branch quite far away, so I wasn't going to go back there anytime soon. But I saw on a charity shop randomly, and it was sealed. It's a film called Prospect. It's a sci-fi. Really, really, really like this. Pedro Pascal, man of the moment. I thought it was Sophie Thatcher. I thought it was a Haley Steinfeld girl, but no, it's basically a western. Like so many good sci-fis, it's basically a western in space. This girl and her dad are prospecting for these rare gems on this planet, and they have to harvest them in this really delicate process from these alien plants. And the dad's got the expertise, but these bandits, including Pedro Pascal's character, basically find them, and there's a standoff. People die. This is early on, so I'm not giving much away. And the girl's left with Pedro Pascal, and it's got, if I'm honest, a bit of a Last of Us vibe. It's very sort of organic, and sort of about these. I really like the universe that it's set. It's really nicely realised, and the technology it's not so clean. It's all dirty and grimy. I quite like that. It's all it's slightly desperate. Give it a go. It's really, really good film. Prospect. It looks great. I imagine it looks. I think I've only ever seen it on film 4 or DVD or whatever on standard definition. But so it'd be quite interesting it would look great. It's the sort of film that would look great on a 4K, but I don't think there's been a 4K version. But another film I put in because I was really wanting to recommend it. It's not a film that you hear of often. It's a film called Borderlands, a horror film, basically along the same lines as something like. I've literally just popped out of my head the name of the film. It's that film where there's that couple in America, and they set up cameras in their bedroom because they think they've got a poltergeist. What's that? Paranormal Activity, that's it. Similar to that, it's basically the setup. There's a dodgy goings on in a rural church in England, somewhere in the West Country, I think. And the Vatican send an investigator and a tech guy to go and check it out. And so there's lots of sort of fixed cameras like in Paranormal Activity, and like sort of recording overnight, and it's really good. It's pretty grim. It really stayed with me. There's a bit of a warning: if you're at all claustrophobic, parts of this film will just fuck you up. Even if you're not claustrophobic, this will make claustrophobic, and it just makes you go, oh. It's just sort of, not gruesome. I don't think it's really jumpy. It's just tense and horrible, and there's this horrible feeling of dread. And it is a really good film. It doesn't get many plaudits, but as in sort of many people talking about it. So yeah, Borderlands, give it a go. This film basically, I bought it just for the name. Tokyo Fish Attack, GYO. I don't know what GYO means. Tokyo Fish Attack. Yeah, this is £1 in a charity shop. I thought it was sort of a bit like those Sharknado films, but apparently it's an anime. And I think that, if anything, made it a bit more interesting. I wouldn't have bothered if it was a Sharknado film, but looking on the back, it's anime. So I don't really know anything about it, but I thought Tokyo Fish Attack sounds good. This one's pure nostalgia, and it turns out it's actually quite a collectible box set. A 90s children's program. Does anybody remember Erie, Indiana? I think this was ITV, and I didn't watch it that much because I was more of a sort of a BBC kid. I suppose 90s. Just realised Casey's fucked. Oh, bollocks. Oh, that's a bit of an arse. Yeah, probably a little bit too old. No, actually, no. It is sort of like a teen thing. Not really like real little kids thing. It's because it's sort of horror themed, but I suppose along the lines of something like Goosebumps. It's that sort of teen horror type thing, and it's about a place in Indiana called Erie, and all this stuff goes on. There's only this one kid who knows the deal, and he's got him and his mate are the only two people who know what's up, and it's just I remember really enjoying it, and I've got a feeling. I can imagine basically they started out with the name of the place and thought, well, let's write something around the name of the place. That's basically the starting point. So I can picture like one of those sort of brainstorming meetings that they have in sort of television circles. But yeah, this will get you some decent credit, and I think it will. Last time I checked, it did, and it's the sort of thing I imagine we always do quite well. But yeah, this is definitely a keeper though. I put this in purely because it was in a British Heart Foundation 3 for £1, so 33 and a third p, and it's a Criterion Blu-ray. Oh blimey, no brainer. It's called In-Laws. See, look, I've forgotten what else I got with it. It's just a few DVDs. I think those are some of the ones I ejected to make this video not too long, but we're already probably about 11-12 minutes. But yeah, In-Laws, it's got Peter Falk in it and Alan Arkin, I think. Yeah, Peter Falk as in Columbo. It's not a film I'm aware of or knew of, but from the synopsis, it sounds like Meet the Fockers. These two, what was it? Yeah, it sounds like sort of as if Meet the Fockers is a remake of The In-Laws. I suppose that would make sense, wouldn't it? Something to do with. I'm not going to bother reading it because that actually make this video even longer. But yeah, I thought it was interesting just purely because it got a bit lucky. I don't think the credit. It's a keeper. I think I'm going to keep it. I must at least watch it. But I don't think the credit is massive on that, which is surprising considering it's a Criterion Blu-ray. Another Criterion Blu-ray. Unfortunately, this is an American one. This is one I saw in a charity shop, and I saw it a couple of times and didn't get it because it was an American version. But then in that time, I looked it up. I've just remembered what this video is. So I was going to talk about in this video, but I'll talk about this Blu-ray first. Anyway, I'd sort of seen this Blu-ray in a charity shop. Didn't get it because it was American. It's one of my favourite films, which was gutting. But I looked it up, just the value, just because the sort of thing you do. We're not concerned about value, but we all do it, don't we? And turns out it's fucking collectible. Excuse me for the language, but it was. I thought, Jesus, and went back to get it. Luckily, no one had sort of nabbed it. And it's another Criterion, Days of Heaven. I love this film, love it. It's Terrence Malick. It's one of my favourites, but it's unfortunately it's a Region A Blu-ray, and I can't use it. I can't watch it, which is gutting. But it'd probably be a seller. Purely, I'll have to sell it untested, but it looks spotless, so I probably wouldn't. I'll just sort of sell it as working, but lie slightly. So it's just Days of Heaven, great film. It was £2. That was it. Like an idiot. It was in with a load of games, and the box with the games in had £2 on it, and I took it out and showed it to the woman, and she said a quid, because all their DVDs and films were a quid. And like an idiot, I went, oh, I got it out of the box with all the games. And she went, all right, £2 then. What an idiot, what an arse. Could have saved myself a quid. Yeah, it's one of the major things I mentioned when I was talking about this original video originally. The standard of the stuff was decent, but not up to the level of the last video. This video was meant to be more about things I'd passed up. There's lots of things I'd passed up, things that I regret passing up, and this sort of makes it's relevant to what I mentioned in my last video, me not having a smartphone, and I could have easily have sort of looked all this stuff up and sort of done pretty well, but like I didn't. Judgment call, passed it up, and then regretted it. Just films, a few films, Blu-rays, games. There was a Wii, not pinball game. It was a Wii marble challenge, something like that, and it was about £15 game in CEX, and I think this branch of cancer research had it for about £1.50, and that's just a whole an idiot. And of course, it wasn't then. The next time I went. Of course it wasn't. It didn't look much. It just looked like Wii shovelware, but apparently it looked like just a marble version of Super Monkey Ball, that sort of thing. But the worst one was just I've really fucked up. But I went into a branch of the British Heart Foundation locally, one that rarely has anything. I find that with British Heart Foundations, game-wise, you're lucky if you're going to get something decent. They'll have the odd few sort of FIFAs or whatever, or modern Call of Duties, but anything interesting, it's sort of not. It's not common that they'll have anything worthwhile. But on this occasion, there was something. I walked past. I was about to go in. I saw something in the window. I thought that's really weird. I don't know what that is. I couldn't quite work it out. It was slightly squirreled away, but I could see there were certain things that I recognised. It was a £5. This thing. Went into the shop. They had something else similar. It looked like they're in the same range. It was an action figure. I'm not the person who buys lots of action figures. These were new. I think they were new, but they were on card. They looked in good nick. Basically, what they were. If anybody knows about action figures, this might ring a bell. I don't know. Excuse me. I looked at them. I thought these looked knockoff as fuck. So I left them. But what they were was they were this company called Bid Toys, I think. Bid Toys. It was a Mario Ultraman, and then Mario Ultraman and a Bowser Godzilla. And I didn't really think anything of them. They looked really knockoff, like I said. There was no barcode. I assumed they were going to be something like one of those sort of subscription nerd box things. You know, something you would have got in them. They had. I didn't know if it was Japanese or Chinese writing. And I thought Japanese. I might have taken a punt. But I suspect it could have been Chinese, which would have made it a little bit more sort of. I just assume with Japanese stuff, the build quality is going to be right up there. You can't really say the same about a lot of Chinese stuff. It's just an observation. A lot of Chinese stuff's really good. There's a company that make camping gear, and I think that everyone else does them a disservice because this company is actually pretty good. They do tend to sort of rip off other camping gear companies, tents and things, and sleeping bags, but it's slightly unfortunate because what they have is actually pretty good. And it's basically, I'm going off a tangent here, but anyway, I thought it could be Chinese, so I left it. The Mario Ultraman was £2. The Bowser Godzilla was £5, and it was a bit too high just to take a punt on, particularly the Bowser Godzilla. Looked it up. These things, not many sold, to be fair. I think that one of the Bowser Godzillas sold open for about £85. That's probably the last one to sell. I'll put a little picture of them, or maybe a link to eBay or whatever. No, not a link to eBay. I'll just put a picture of them. but generally they've got these people selling them the pair together for like £350, and I'm thinking off £300. I'm thinking shit, that's the scale we're looking at. And although obviously it's sort of not really relevant that because none have really sold, but you get an idea of the scale. If you want to buy one, that's what you're going to have to pay. And there was one, like I said, there was one that sold for 85 quid, like a loose Bowser. But they were weird because, like I said, there's no barcode. There wasn't really any information on the packaging. The card you could slide in and out, so it wasn't really sealed. But I had no idea where they came from, so I left them. When I looked them up, should get myself a smartphone. This, you know, these things wouldn't happen, but I haven't. You know, I'm an idiot. Yeah, and I thought, oh shit, I'm at least going to go and try and go back the next day. Hopefully, at least the Bowser one will still be there because it was sort of squirreled away. Went back early, first thing next day, and of course they're gone. Of course they're gone. When I first saw them, the day previously, it was fairly early in the day, so there was a lot of time between then and closing time for someone to come in and get them. So I was like, fuck. So there you go. That was the worst one, but there were other things that I'd passed up and missed out on, so an idiot. But that's not to say there's some not bad stuff in here. This one, you know, isn't it, but I've got it for the case. It's just a copy of Brain Training for 50p because I'm well into getting my loose GBA games, putting them in DS games and printing out really cheap sleeves from things off the internet. I've got a few now, and it just makes them look 10 times better. And rather than at the moment, I've got them all sort of crammed into a little GBA carrying case. You know, I'd much rather have them just like out, you know, in DS cases with at least with a cover. I don't have to have the manuals, but yeah. Well, I think even Brain Training is £1.50 in Computer Exchange now. So it turns out that was a bargain. Right, these two weren't bargains. Slight mistakes. I think it's my last video. I've got a Command and Conquer on 360, and yeah, I thought, and there's 3 Command and Conquer games on the 360. One of them will get you about 4 or 5 quid credit. I thought it was the last one I got in my last pickups video. It wasn't it. It's not this one either, but I paid 2 quid for it. And I can't even trade it in anyway because it's Australian, but I won't keep it, fuck it. Maybe I'll finally get around to teaching myself how to play RTSs. And this was in the same place. This was a bit more sort of interesting. I'm sure I've passed up one of these in the past. It's a special edition or collector's edition of Harry Potter 1 to 4, years 1 to 4 Lego. But I think this is Australian version because the ones I've seen before are in a slightly different format. I think these are magnets. But they've got like little Lego dimples on them. Magnets of the Harry Potter houses. The one I've seen before, and they're sort of arranged differently. They come down the side, but this is at the bottom. And so I imagine this is an Australian one because it looks like I've actually peeled the rest of it off. But it looks like there was one of those Australian age range things on it, but. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to do this. Probably might even sell it on because I don't think CEX will take it. I don't think the Lego Harry Potter 1 for 4 isn't worth much anyway now. There was a time when it was, but I think it's just, I don't know, yeah, about 1-2 quid credit. It's just getting my money back at best. It does say made in the EU on it, so, and all the backs in English, so maybe that might mean they take it, but I don't know. I'm not going to keep it. I'm not going to play it, obviously. And my nieces, they're 8 and 11. I don't think they're going to want it either. Right, a couple of just random buys. I think these are £1.50 or quid each in one particular charity shop. This one is a trader. It's just, I thought, Banjo-Kazooie. Bit of a no-brainer. I think it's no manual, but it's about the cheapest Banjo-Kazooie game, I think. But yeah, it'll be a trade. I've got this, and it's this one's a bit more unusual. I bought this because it It was from the same place, same price. I can't remember how much it was. About 150, £2. It's might be a keeper to be honest, because I don't have this game. Infamous. It's a collector's special edition, and it comes with a little comic, little graphic novel. These aren't that common. Yeah, they're not that common, but not. I think there is, or no, there probably are. I don't know. I think people ask too much for them, but they have some value, not a lot. But I thought the price, it was just interesting to have, and it's like I said, it's not a game I've got, but and even if I get bored of it or fancy making about a fiver, I can sell it on. But I don't know. I think open it up. Yeah, it's got like a manual and a comic in it and a disc. Don't think there's much else particularly special about it. But yeah, it's not. It wasn't something I'd seen before, so I thought I'd give it a punt. And so it's not that unusual. It's not that special, but I was taking a punt. This one I knew definitely was worthwhile. I've forgotten how much this was now. This was about £1-2. A copy of Skate 2, bit of a no-brainer. In the past, I would have traded this in, but I think this is going to be a keeper now. Slightly because the disc's a bit fucked, and they might not take it, but it should play, but it's still a bit scratched. It was £2. I remember now, it was £2 in a charity shop somewhere. It came with without a manual, and so it was like £2. It was manualless, and I sourced the man. There was someone selling manuals on eBay for £2. So, I think the disc's a little bit fucked. So I've wiped it down. At least get the fingerprints off it. They might take it now. It looks better than it did, but I've got a feeling this is going to be a keeper. Like I said, there was a time when the level of credit something that get me would take precedent over my need to actually keep it and play it. But I think no, I've got to that point where no, I'm keeping stuff now. There's other things I've kept, or in the past I would have traded them in, like a copy of new Super Mario Brothers Wii and stuff like that. This one's a bit of a boob. There was a time. I don't think this is ever get you any credit. I don't know, but I think this is. There was a time when this had some decent eBay value. It's the new it's the Pilates one. Yoga and Pilates. I'm sure this has some sort of eBay value for selling on. But to be honest, the disc's a bit knacked. So if I do sell it on, I'm going to have to get it looked at. And but I know that there was going back a few years. This had some decent sort of resale value. But I can't see me doing Pilates or yoga anytime soon. I think it was £1.50 or something, but this is one to look out for, but not for the credit. Again, it's about £1 or something. I think they sell it for £4. Maybe that might be even. I don't know. I'm not sure they even sell it for that. This one again. This is actually a trader. This one is a trader. It's a copy of Wii Sports. This was. I didn't notice this dirty shitty mark on the back. This was sitting in a. Has it got all its bits? Yeah, it has. Sitting. Oh, I've even got them. It was £1. I've even got the receipt. That's handy. Sometimes I take the prices off stuff, but this one's got a receipt and it was £1. The disc was fucked. But what I've done, I've basically swapped the disc over with my copy. And if I haven't played Wii Sports in probably a year or so at least. If I do want to play it, I'll probably have to get that disc resurfaced. I think it should play. I've not tested it, but I took my disc and put it in there just so I could be able to trade it in for the credit. Bit of a funny story with this one. There's a charity shop I go in. It's run by this funny Nigerian lady who loves a haggle, and I'm not the best at haggling. I get a bit sort of a bit awkward and self-conscious. I feel really shitty trying to haggle, particularly in a charity shop. But I've gone in there in the past, and she's had some Lego, and she's seen me looking at it, like a big tub of Lego. And she's gone, how much do you think that's worth? I was gone, I don't know. How much are you willing to pay for it? I don't know. She really put me on the spot, and she wouldn't let go. And in the end, I went. It was a sort of a basket full of Lego, and I looked at it and the amount of figures I had, and I went, 30 quid. She went, you know, 30 quid. I went, oh fuck. I said, I should have said, well, what I'm willing to pay is a lot less than what I think it's worth, but I didn't. In the end, I just about got out there without being forced to spend 30 quid on this tub of Lego. But generally, she'd set the tone for every time I go in there. I know she's up for a haggle, and she had some decent games. She had some decent games and some Wii games. She had Wii Sports Resort and Mario Kart Wii, and I remembered from that time before. I thought, right, she's up for a haggle. I asked her how much they are. She went, 3 quid, or £3. I think, right, I know your game, and I went, will you take 2 quid for them? She went, no. I was thinking, I literally don't know what the rules are then. But then, to be fair, I think she clearly did know that they were worth more than 3 quid. So, you know, to be fair to her, I do respect her for sticking to her guns. And in the end, I ended up paying 3 quid each because obviously I think they're worth it. And I just thought it was quite funny. But then there was another occasion since I went in there and it was quite early on. And I went straight to the back where DVDs and her games are, and she had some good stuff. She had a copy of it was the Nathan Drake collection. It was sealed on the PS4, and excuse me, I'm having a drink. It was sealed, and I was thinking, oh, I quite like that. But then there was no price, and I knew I was going to have to ask her. But it was early on, and she just opened up, and she'd had her mobile phone out, and she was listening to some. It was a full-on like Baptist preacher, Nigerian sort of what do they call it? Fire and brimstone sort of preacher, and you know, all power to her. But I didn't feel I could interrupt her moment of a bit spiritualism. And I was sort of hanging around and thinking, can I interrupt her just to ask her the cost of this game? I felt really sort of really awkward. And she was sort of, I could hear her like talking along to it, mouth along to it. And I was thinking, that's even worse. I don't feel like I can interrupt her. In the end, I just walked out and I thought, maybe it'll be there next time. Of course it wasn't there next time. Someone had it. But, you know, something else I've missed out on having, one of the many things I missed out on this time. But, you know, oh well. This one was a random PS1 game on a shelf in one of my favourite charity shops. Not that it's really paid out much recently, but this was one of the few times it has. Is Micromaniacs, a PS1 game I don't have. Basically, micro machines with little running people, which concept-wise I find quite creepy. With micro machines, I can sort of understand it. It's not if you were. I can hear my cat screaming. Give me 5 minutes. I put her out of her misery. No, I didn't. I tried to chuck her out because I think she was. She's got this weird thing where when she's using the tray, she screams. It's really weird. I've never heard of a cat doing it, but she basically screams when she's sort of using the litter tray, which I think is bizarre, but that's what she does. So she basically screams, makes a load of racket when she's going to the toilet, as if she's going, oh, I'm having a wee, something, but weird. But yeah, Micromaniacs. I think it's. I can sort of understand, like I say, I sort of understand micro machines as a concept. Like little toy cars, like whizzing about. You can sort of, if you ever saw it for real, you think that's a bit weird. What's going on here? You sort of get it. But if you saw little people running about, that would freak me the fuck out. You know, why are there tiny little people running around my living room floor, around my kitchen? and I'd want to sort of just sort of like nuke it from space. It's the only way to be sure, you know. But anyway, it was. I think it was a quid. I think £1.50 or something like that. It was quite a good. Yeah, a quid. I remember now. I remember where I got it from. Branch of North London Hospice. Yeah, but rare that I see PS1 games that I actually want and don't have. But right, and charity shop purchase. There's a few more charity shop purchases. This one's my local one. I actually passed again. I passed it up purely because I didn't have the cash to buy it, and it was late in the day. I sort of figured I could leave it there because I didn't think anyone was going to come after me and nab it, and they weren't. They were going to close soon. Yeah, and I had to go back the next day when I got some change, and luckily it was still there. It's basically The Last of Us Part 2, and since I've bought this, the program started, and I think the value of the Last of Us games, excuse me, it's going up quite a lot, isn't it? I think this is now. I think when I first bought this would have got me about £10 credit. It's now about 18 quid. Like, Jesus, blimey! But no, it's a keeper again. This would have been a trader. This will probably be a keeper because I want to get the PS5 version of the first game, and then shit, knocked me pile over. Yeah, I want to get the PS5 version first game, and I might as well keep this to continue on the story. Yeah, it's sort of going back to when I was talking about how I'd sort of passed things up and regretted it. This is slightly connected. Went in this charity shop. They had some half decent games. I looked at them all and I didn't know for certain if they were worth having. They were £1.99 each. Didn't know if they were worth having. There was a PS4 Call of Duty. I think the vast majority of them aren't worth having. And there were some PS3 games. But this one I know for certain was. Then it turns out I should have got the other ones as well. And I looked them up. It's basically, the one I did get was the no-brainer Spider-Man Shattered Dimension. I know for certain this will get me some good credit. It's not the most credit heavy, or whatever. I think this one will be a trader, but there's another Spider-Man PS1, PS3 game that will get me slightly bit more. But as a rule, all Spider-Man PS3 games and 360 games are worth having. So, like an idiot, there was Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man Part 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2. I passed up PS3 version. There might have been another one, I can't remember. But they're all worth having. Like an idiot, I passed them up. And then it was the COD game from 2019 on the PS4. I passed that one up as well. It turns out I should have had that. What an idiot. But yeah, luckily this one was the best one. And I knew that much. And yeah, for £1.99. Same branch I got of Oxfam, where I got that copy of the Tekken 4 limited edition. Yeah, this is the only time it's paid out since, really. Last charity shop purchase. Yeah, another not British Heart Foundation, North London Hospice, and they didn't really have much winning. They looked around, didn't really have much. On my way out, saw this on the counter, and I thought, well, that's going home with me because it stuck out like a sore thumb. It's a really, really nice copy of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. It's really sort of fat, bulbous because it's got the rumble cart in it. And it doesn't feel like it fits the box properly, but it's in really nice nick. It was £3.50. It was just sitting in a basket on the counter as if it was about to go out. And on my way out, I thought, oh, shit, and basically nabbed it before it could be put onto the shelf. And asked her, as I was playing it, asked the woman if there's anything else. I did the right thing because I rarely do that because I just get a bit self-conscious, and I think that they'll think that I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, I did ask her. I broke a habit of a lifetime and asked the woman if there's any more like this. Do you have any more like this? And she went, no, they would have been out on the shelf. So It doesn't look much of a game, to be honest. It looks just a bit like Micro Machines, but sort of like a crappy sort of a Game Boy version of Micro Machines. But condition-wise, it's in really good nick. Might be a keeper. I haven't really decided what's going to happen to this one. But the funny thing about it, this is hilarious. This is really funny. When I say funny, this is funny. It's not really funny. Someone's clearly used it to lean on when they've written something in biro, and there's a name in it I can just see indented. That's about the only thing wrong with it. I think the manual's slightly wrinkled, but otherwise the only thing wrong with it is a slight indentation of somebody called Mrs. Adelina. So did this belong to Mrs. Adelina? I don't know, but that's probably one of my better charity shop purchases from recent months, weeks, years. Right. Right. These are all still out and about purchases. At least these next two, but these were from cash converters. The branch of cash converters way out on one of my walks. It's about 6 miles there and 6 miles back, but I don't always go there because it's so far out. But on this occasion, they've got charity shops, and actually, it's where the charity shop where the Spider-Man was from. So I was down that way. I don't think these were on the same day. They might have been, but yeah, cash converters. I'd seen these games in there since Christmas. I've been there a few times since Christmas, and they've got them priced quite high. I price things individually in there. There's a GameCube version of Resident Evil 2 that they've got for 40 quid, I think. So I wasn't going to pay it. I've got it anyway, so I don't need it. These two they've had for a while, as long, and priced higher than I wanted to pay. But I think when I last went in there, they dropped the price down. You'll see actually because they've kept the labels on. I think it might have been a post-Christmas sale. I can't remember exactly, but I've got a feeling the prices have gone back up again. They've taken those sale labels off because I've been in there since, and that Resident Evil 2's gone back up to 40 quid. I think it had gone down to 35. It's just weird. Yeah, 2 PS4 games. Bit of a no-brainer. Akami HD. There you go. So it'd gone from $10.99 to $5.99. It doesn't have. It's not meant to have a manual, is it? I don't really know with PS4 games now. I do find that actually slightly reassuring because you never have to worry that generally that it hasn't got a manual. But yeah, I've got multiple copies of Akami, and it just feels like I generally don't keep multiple copies of games, but this feels like the sort of game where every single version's slightly different because you've got the Akami Den, not that it's the same game, but you know, same series. Akami Den, you use the stylus on the Wii game. You've got the Wiimote. The PS1, PS2 version is just a different scale. So this version's sort of scaled up. It's obviously such a visual game. You can justify. It makes sense to experience it on a bigger screen in HD. So I can justify having like multiple versions of it. That makes sense. And the other one, from 30 quid to 20, nonary games. Nonary games. I think I looked it up originally when I first saw it at 30 quid, and I thought 30 quid was actually quite a good price. I'm sure the price has come down slightly since, and it turns out sort of that sort of a 20 quid isn't quite as good as I thought it was going to be. The price seems to be going up and down. I don't know, but anyway, I've played 9 Persons, 9 Hours, 9 Doors, or 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, and really enjoyed it. It did my nut in after a while, because after a while I was going around in circles trying to get the best ending. It turns out this has a flow chart, so you can track your progress and you can see which decisions you haven't made, and ones that you need to make again. But it turns out I had pretty much done everything, but I just needed to go over one of the routes that I'd gone before, and that will get you the best ending, because there's multiple endings, but only one of them is sort of positive. All the others are sort of really grim and depressing. But yeah, there are lots of decisions to make in this game, but really the only ones that make any difference, because you see different scenes and things, but the only ones that make proper difference are the doors. So if you're playing it, yeah, it's all about which doors you choose, you know. Other than that, it's just puzzles, and I really enjoyed it though. Although it did do my nutting, and this doesn't mean I probably won't. I was looking at Virtue's Last Reward on the 3DS, but probably won't bother with that now. I might do, don't know. Probably not. A very quite a rare impromptu, not impromptu, impulse CX purchase. I didn't even know it was in there. I was in their branch in Welling. It's quite a way out for me. I don't often go down that way. But yeah, it's definitely a game I wanted. It's Ninja Savers. I made that exact same gaffe when I made this video before. I said Ninja Savers then, and I've said Ninja Savers again. I think that's slightly different. Ninja Savers, like a cheap shop where you go to where ninjas are cheap. You know, Savers, the like, super drug. Yeah. Yeah, the original Ninja Warriors. It's a bit of a formative sort of game for me for arcades because when I was a kid, I remember that I really vividly remember the arcade machine and how it had that narrow slot at the top, that narrow screen, and I remember being too small to see up into it. And it felt like a bit taboo that if I was able to see into it, I was going to see something a little bit risky. And so I don't know if this is like a total reskin or remake. I imagine it's a remake because it looks really good. But it was a bit of a no-brainer when I first drew up my list for PS4 and stuff. A couple of Christmas presents to myself. No, actually, from my mum. I wrote a list just for simplicity's sake. She did ask me to write a list, and so I did, just to help her. And I just go. There was some. This was before Christmas. It was Black Friday. There were some games going cheap in Smiths on their Black Friday sales, and I just gave her a list, and she ended up picking two, and she got me Ghost of Tsushima. You see, it's not been played yet, and Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut, director's cut, and Persona 5 Royal. I just do sort of. I've got Persona 5, and I'm going to keep the PS3 version because it's the one a really late PS3 game. I do like late versions of games on consoles that come into the end of their lifespan. But I do also want a game that will be the best version of that particular game. So that's my justification for asking for this as well. But yeah, Persona 5 Royal, as you can see, I have not played it. I haven't really found a spot for my PS5 yet because I don't like leaving it out because it takes up a lot of space and I don't want it. I don't know. It does. It's quite difficult. So I generally have to sort of put it away and take it out again. So I need to rejig stuff so I can leave it out permanently. So I haven't spent a lot of time using it. It does, or not as much as I'd like anyway. This one's an upgrade. An upgrade from a game I got in my last pickups video. Basically, like an idiot. I didn't know this was coming out, and I thought, no, fuck it. I do swearing a lot in this episode. I do apologise. Too much. I don't mind the odd swears, but just maybe too much this time. But yeah, like I said, I do want the best version the game can be, and I assume this will be sort of a slightly better version or sort of shinier, at least shinier version than the mic slightly than the PS4 version I got in the last one. But luckily, I haven't played that one, so it's still its wrapper, so I can just sell it straight on, and apparently I'll sort of get all my money back plus for the PS4 version, plus a bit more. So brilliant. Last one before the parcel. Basically, a game that I really like the look of. I've seen people talking about it. I think Radical Reggie and Metal Jesus Rocks have mentioned it. And it's a sort of, I know a lot of people have mentioned it, and it was pretty much a no-brainer. It's Blazing Chrome from Pix and Love. They French, yeah. Basically a no-brainer. The Contra series of games I've played from right in the early days. I played Grisor on my Amstrad. I played Operation C on my Game Boy. I've played a lot of Contra 4 on the DS, even though I find it really tricky because of that collision detection. I think it's pretty unfair. Some of those enemies are just like lightning as well. But yeah, and Hardcore Uprising, I've got that downloaded on the PS3. So, but this was a bit of a no-brainer, and it took a while. But in the end, I thought, no, this is pretty much a Christmas present to myself. And I think it was, I can't remember how much it ended up being in the end, but it was about 35, 40 quid or something. But yeah, bit of a no-brainer. Right, down to the package. It feels a bit light. There you go. Feels a bit light. This is, I'm going to cut the top off. Right, I'm going to put it down. Following the theme from my last pickups video, where I got those 2 games from a weird American seller who only seems to sell to the UK, which I find a bit strange. Only seems to sell to the UK. Not the same people, but a different one, and they only seem to sell to the UK as well. I don't know what this is about, because again the price is really good. A bit of a punt, because obviously sight unseen only said very good, but their reputation, they had a good reputation. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was missing bits or a bit rough. I don't know, but I didn't mind taking a gamble. I reckon it's got to be a tax thing. I reckon they're probably registered charity, and there's probably a tax break. So that's why if they were sell domestically, they'd probably have to pay more tax. But selling to the UK, it's just strange. They're called Round 3 UK, so might want to look them up. I don't mind. I can't remember what the other one lot are called, but this lot are called Round 3 UK, all one word, I think. And this was a DS game. Looks all right. I just had a little peek. A DS game. A sort of DS game that's probably more expensive because it has a 0 profile. It's not that uncommon. There's loads on eBay. I think you can even get them new if you're willing to pay ridiculous amounts of money. There's one went for auction on eBay recently, and they had a starting price of 120 quid, and it didn't sell. But others it does seem to be about 120 quid, 150 pound game. And I saw this lot at it for 60 quid, and it was a bit of a, again, it's not sort of pence, but 60 quid or 120, 150, I'm not going to pay the higher prices, and this felt attainable. So I took a punt on it, and I don't know why I didn't have to pay import fees. I just assumed I might have to, but didn't. And basically, it's a Canadian developed. Oh no, I thought it was I thought it was sealed at one point. It's not sealed. It's a Canadian developed, as far as I know, Canadian developed RPG, and it's called Black Sigil. Black Sigil. It's got almost no profile whatsoever. This game, Black Sigil. It's basically apes Chrono Trigger. Very similar. That's all the comparisons it gets is Chrono Trigger, and it's like I say, it's not difficult to get hold of if you're willing to pay the price, but it's just probably part of the value is based on it having no profile, and the people who've played it know about it. But other than that, people don't really know of it. But yeah, it outwardly looks legit. It feels a little bit light. I'm hoping there's a manual. Let's see. There is a manual. Brilliant. There's a manual. Black Sigil. Basically, a fairly sort of very much like a 16-bit RPG, comparable to Chrono Trigger. Pretty chuffed, so it's worked out well. I'm sure I've read it was Canadian developed, but like I said, no profile, so maybe it doesn't sell as often. But no, actually, I think it does sell quite often. It does seem to sell for between 120 and 150. I think the thing people mention a lot about this game is it's got this fucking absolutely crippling encounter rate, because it's there are it's random encounters, and watch what's my words? I'm losing my words. Watch gameplay videos, and you get the idea. It does seem to be a bit of an arseache, but people who leave comments on videos, so a lot of them say they really enjoyed it. So hopefully it's something that you can get around. But a lot of it seems to be 50-50. People love it, or they just really would love it more if it wasn't for these encounter rates. But yeah, not quite as good as Xenosaga 3 or Luna, but not one I was going to pass up. So yeah, right, shit. I don't know. I'm going to have to put all these videos, all these sort of little segments together and see how long this is. It's probably over an hour. We're not kidding. But I'll let you go. Hopefully it's not, but it probably is. But I'm going to let you go. Thanks for watching. And I've got other videos in the works, or at least up here, you know, like other videos to do, which hopefully there will be in the future. Something hopefully other than the pickups video. But I'll let you go. Thanks for watching. I'm just going to go and see if my cat has stopped screaming. So cheers. Bye.